Hey guys, and welcome back to Leo Gaming. Yes, today I am doing a review for Need for Speed Hot Pursuit Remastered. Now, I haven't really played Need for Speed since actually Need for Speed Underground 1 and 2. And before that, the very first ever Need for Speed I did play was the original Need for Speed on the Panasonic 3DO console, which was absolutely fantastic game at the time. And I did play the original Need for Speed Hot Pursuit on the PC all those years ago. So, without further ado, guys, let's jump straight into this review. Need for Speed Hot Pursuit is set in the fictional Seacrest County, in which you compete in several types of races. You can either be the getaway or the interceptor, as you increase your reputation as either in order to tame or maim the roads. Need for Speed Hot Pursuit was developed by Criterion Games and published by EA, and originally released in November 2010, with the remaster releasing November 2020. So guys, starting off with the visuals, you will be driving around sort of desert, mountains, little mini towns in the deserts, coastal roads. They're the sort of environments you are going to be driving around. I will be honest, the environments look okay. This is not a stunningly sort of environmentally, visually great game. It's not the best looking game. It's good enough. For this to be a remaster, not really sure. This still, to me, looks like a sort of 360 PS3 era game. It doesn't look like a sort of modern game to me, even though it is the remaster. The car models look absolutely fantastic. I cannot fault them on that. They've obviously put a lot of love and care into the car models themselves, especially the police ones. I'll be honest, the police ones look better than the racing ones, just because of the patterns, and they just look like beasts, the cars on the police side. You do get some visually great sort of customized, patterns on the racing cars, which do look okay, but you know, they're not fantastic. They're standard. Damage, one thing that is slightly annoying, the damage is visually okay, but considering the amount of times you're hitting, especially if you're a cop car, considering the amount of times you're hitting the races and the amount of times you will hit the sides, you don't get much visual damage until you actually KO one of the racers. Then that's when you really get sort of a visually, you know, the damage looks visually how it should. But the rest of it, I mean, I've smashed into the walls God knows how many times, and the damage is still just a cracked windscreen. So you do get some smoke trails. So when you're drifting around the corners, you get some good looking smoke trails coming from the tyres that are screeching on the tarmac. There's another thing that's a bit of a downfall with this, the textures. When you go off road, especially in the desert, when you go off road and you go onto the sort of dirt track, it looks like there's been no care taken with that. It looks like they've just slapped down a simple basic texture. The texture of the dirt track looks like it's from the PS1 era, PlayStation 1 era, where you can see the repeat lines. Now, when I say repeat lines, this is the way I put it. A texture basically is where you can see the lines. You used to get it a lot with like sort of oceans, and when games used to do oceans or rivers or seas or just a very open texture. You get what I call repeat lines. Basically, it's where you can see the pattern that they've done of the dirt texture, and you can see where they repeated it and stuck the pattern together. You can see the repeat line. Does that make sense? Which I'm really surprised about, because considering this was released, the remaster was released in 2020, I would have thought there would have been a lot more detail and care gone into the off-road. But again, I personally believe this was an EA cash grab game. Not taken away from how good the game is. I'm just saying that's why I think this remaster isn't as brilliant as what it could have been. So guys, moving on to the sound. With the sound, again, it's okay. There's not much I can really say about the sound. It just sounds good, okay. The engine sounds, the screeching sounds, the sirens sound okay. The soundtrack is pretty good, I will be honest. Although you kind of, to hear the soundtrack, you have to turn the effects volume down and in order to, because otherwise you can't really hear the soundtrack unless you turn the car engine sound down. But from what I've heard of the soundtrack, it's pretty good. I'm guessing they got some licensed tracks in there, but not much else I can really say about the sound. So moving on to mechanics. In the game, you get a career mode, you get an online multiplayer, and you get an auto-log recommends. Auto-log recommends is basically where it will recommend a race between you and your friends that you have on your console. Online multiplayer, you can jump into any match, anywhere, with anyone, and it's also cross-play, which was brilliant. I did enjoy that. I was playing with some PlayStation, Xbox, and PC players, and it is good. It is much better with cross-play. It just feels more competitive, and it's good. The online, I will admit, is brilliant. The online multiplayer, I absolutely loved it. I was enjoying it a lot, purely because it just feels, I don't know, it feels so competitive, and the fact that you've got the use of various pieces of equipment is good. So online multiplayer, I do recommend. So in the career, you get a map of Seacrest with cop races or civilian racer races. I didn't know what to call that. Just, you can either be a racer or a cop, basically, and you get little points on Seacrest County map where you can pick various races. Each area on the map will have a list of races that you have to unlock throughout. Obviously, within the game, you start off as a policeman. You start off as a cadet at level 1, and you have to work. The more busts you do, the more races, more cop races you do, you work your way up to level 20. And obviously, as a racer, you start off as a level 1 speeder, and you have to work your way up to level 20. Now, to do this, you will gain XP points, and you will gain them from performance such as near misses, drifting around corners, the time it's taken you to bust someone, or the time it's taken you to complete a race, and your use of force if you're a policeman, if you're a police car, how much force you've had to use, etc. And it's you just gain your XP, and the XP will unlock rewards. So you get an XP bar, and so at the end of each race, you do, basically the XP will build up like any other game, like Forza almost. The XP unlocks rewards at certain points on the bar, and obviously at each time you level up, such as cars and equipment if you're the police. The cars are okay, you get a good standard amount of cars. Obviously, the police and the racer cars are the same, it's just a different paint job. And with the equipment, you can unlock things like spikes, helicopter, you can call in the helicopter, roadblocks, and EMP to catch races, which is pretty good. I must admit, I have preferred playing as the police in this game, just because it's a bit more exciting to chase someone rather than always racing away, because we've had so many Need for Speed games where you're the one running away, so it's good to actually be on the other side and chase the opposition, especially on online multiplayer. I'll be honest, with the career mode, I was half expecting a story. I mean, I know in the original game back in the God knows how long, the original Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, there was no storyline, but I for some reason just thought there might be some sort of storyline, but there ain't. It's okay. I'll be honest, the great thing about this game is the actual racing itself. There's no story, so I actually preferred the online multiplayer to this game. It just felt more exciting. I mean, the career is good just to build up your experience within the game and become better before you tackle the online multiplayer and show everybody your skills. You can also customise your vehicle if you're a racer with various colours or preset patterns. There's not massive customisation. You get various colours and a few patterns like the one you see there. That's a preset pattern and colour scheme, so you can't go out. You can. There's a little section you can, but I couldn't be bothered. By the looks of it, you don't get a great variation of colours and patterns to use. I was more interested in the racing itself. You also get a mode called Cop Free Drive or Racer Free Drive, which is you just basically go around an open world, no restrictions. The Cop Free Drive, I was expecting. I thought you drive around casually, and then suddenly a racer's speeding past you. You bang on your lights and you start chasing after them. I mean, I was sitting there for about 20 minutes. I even pulled up on the side of the road, waiting for someone to go past, and nothing was happening. I don't know whether I got that wrong. If you can leave a comment in the section below, Whether I was getting that wrong or you have to do something in order to start something, I don't know. But it didn't seem like nothing was happening. So yeah. So guys, moving on to gameplay. Now I did find that the cars are quite heavy to control. They've made it so it's weird. It's like the game's got a combined mixture of realism and arcade. The way the cars bounce off the sides of the barriers on the road is arcadey, but then yet the cars, the way they control, are quite heavy. Now I did a little test. I stopped the car, did a side angle view, and I turned the steering wheel. And I noticed the tyres turn as if real life. It's quite heavy when you're sat still, which is quite realistic. Yet the actual racing itself is quite arcadey, which I just found very odd. And it just feels like the cars are very heavy to control sometimes. You do get great satisfaction when you're a police car and you smash a racer and you bust them, more visually than anything, because obviously it shows you a sort of different angle and a slow down view of what the crash itself. It's slightly annoying when you have the arcadey feel when you're hitting the barriers at the side of the road. You could basically bounce and bounce and bounce off either side of the barriers. And you get a little bit of damage, but like I said earlier, visually you don't see as much damage as what you should do. And I just found it very arcadey. I mean, I get it. That's it's got to be like that to sort of get this type of racing. But I just feel like it's a little bit too arcadey. It's like they've tried to mix realism and arcade together, like I've said earlier. And it's slightly annoying. And again, you get satisfaction when you take the shortcuts, and because you get a lot of the shortcuts off the roads, and you evade the police, or you gain some distance away from them. There is a great when you're a racer. I will be honest, the gameplay itself is pretty good. With me, it's all about the racing with this game. Anything else out of that, no. The racing itself is actually pretty good, pretty quick, keeps you on your feet. But there are a few little things that slightly annoy me, but that's my personal opinion. That's my personal preference. It might be different for anybody else. So overall, I mean, to be honest, this game is good. It is good. It is good. It's a good pick up and play quick game. This would be a great game if either it had a Forza type open world and you were having these races, or Forza added this type of racing. Can you imagine going through a Forza world as a police and racer doing this? This would be ideal, and that's what I was kind of expecting with this a little bit. I was kind of expecting that when I hit the barriers at the side of the road, they would break and I would go off-road a little bit. And that felt very, very restricted to me, and that's what was slightly annoying. I think my expectation wasn't met. When it felt unrealistic in that regards. But again, that is my personal preference. If Forza could add this type of racing, that would be fantastic. But like I say, I think this is a quick cash grab from EA. Still a good game, the racing part. There's no story in the career. This is more about the online multiplayer. The career is like the tutorial for the online multiplayer part of this game. Again, guys, this is all my personal preference with these types of games, especially racing games. Everybody has their own preferences and stuff like that. So, it's all down to whether you prefer arcade or realism. Again, this has tried both, but I think it's come off a bit wrong, personally. I would still play the game for the online multiplayer, but that would be about it for me. So, guys, that is the end of my review for... So guys, I hope you enjoyed this review, and obviously just remember, if you like this video, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and click the notification bell to stay bang up to date with when I release a video. Also, don't forget to check out my previous video on Ace Combat 7 Skies Unknown, which is up on your screens right now. I hope you all have a lovely day, week, night, evening, whatever. And I will see you all soon. Thank you very much. Bye.